play.
You're on.
On? The show's on?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Good evening. Welcome to Progressive Soup. My name is David Stevenson.
I'm
With
Gene
us,
Hislop.
Gene Hislop. And we have with us tonight, Americo Carrasco.
Yes.
And Americo plays a number of different genres of music, of which he's going to surprise us with one of them now. Now, in case you were wondering about a little bit of a disjointed entry into the show, say we're broadcasting from Planet 6, and Gene and I had to actually come in from Planet 3. So that's the reason for that. Americo, on the screen we've identified you as a reggae artist. But now you obviously do so much more, since that was a little bit more of a jazz tune.
It was a jazz tune. That was one of my own pieces called Blues on Mars. Mm-hmm. And that's what I call heliocentric freeform jazz. You know, because I'm from the urban zones of the outer galaxies.
No doubt, no doubt. As I've known you for quite a few years, I'll vouch for that. So what are the kinds of music? You know, you've got this CD here, Planet 6 Connection, which is actually a little bit more reggae in flavor.
It is a lot more reggae in flavor.
But not completely, though. It's got a little pop feel to it. It's got a reggae feel to it.
There's a touch of blues.
A lot of things mixed together, and that sounds very Danburian in nature, since Danbury is famous for a fellow by the name of Charles Ives, who took a lot of different pieces of music and overlap one on top of the other on top of the other to get a whole new kind of thing. So
now, Americo, would you say your influences are more from the jazz genre or more from your reggae genre?
Well, yeah, my influences, are very eclectic, actually, you know, because I draw from all the musics. I love all the musics, particularly jazz, blues, reggae. I mean, it wouldn't be anything if there was no blues. Right. Can you imagine what music would be like today without any blues? Anytime someone wants to spice up a tune, they always say jazz it up a little or blues it up a little, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so, but I love the blues, and most of the musics I love, I really love it, and it's more of its, in its earlier states. You know, for example, reggae these days is very infused, you know, hip-hop and techno. You don't know what it is anymore. They call it reggaeton. I like reggae, you know, roots, and its roots, you know, in its infancy, all the musics, even rock and roll, you know. I love rock and roll.
So what would some of your influences be, actually, musically?
Wow, they are all over. You're starting right from the 20s. I love Louis Armstrong, Todd Redman Orchestra, Duke Ellington, all the people in between that, right to Chuck Berry, Little Richard being one of my big piano heroes, especially, like I said, you know, rock and roll. And what I mean by rock and roll is, you know, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Eddie Cochran, Elvis Presley, you know, that's rock and roll.
I think the other day you mentioned Red Nichols.
And his five
pennies.
Well, that's right back there in the days with, you know, Louis Armstrong and Cab Calloway, you know, who's another swinging cat. In fact, if we were alive back then in the 20s, that's what we'll be listening to right now. Because that's what was happening.
But
that's what was hip.
Different time zone, different planet, different whole nother place.
Yes.
So a whole nother thing.
Well, we're on Earth, but most of these cats are probably extraterrestrials also. And we run into each other in the Blues Interstellar Highway. The Interstellar Blues Highway.
So let's hear a little bit of your reggae selections. We did hear a nice jazz piece to start us off. I think some of our viewers would be very interested to see the reggae.
Well, with the reggae, I wish I had one of my mates here. Because, well, what happened is I'd have somebody singing. See, with reggae music, what happens is you got different layers of different rhythms and rhythmic structures, you know? And so by yourself, and me being a horrible singer, I promise I won't try to sing. But I'll give you an example of some of the rhythms I was playing on the Planet 6 Connector record. These are some of the sounds we were using. then you'd have the singer, you know. It's party time, come join the line. It's party time, come join the line. You know, and those are, you know, I'd be playing that clav with my wah. I love that sound. I love that sound. And so right now I'm missing all my good people. See, with reggae, it's tough unless you can sing. And the singer on that record is Michael Summer.
Yeah. It seems like the bands, reggae bands tend to be a little larger than other bands, or is my imagination about that?
They can be, you know, at various times. Sometimes we go out and we're bigger, you know, depending on the venue. If it's a big, in fact, we're going to have a bigger band. 9/11, September 11th, coming up this September. We'll be at the Taste of Danbury. Now, I can't tell you what time we're going on, but we'll be out there. And we'll have a bigger band then, because I'll have a percussionist who doubles also as a horn player, so he'll be also part of the horn section. Come out with a sax player amongst, you know, ourselves. Usually Fattie Roots is actually a small band. 4 musicians on that record, and they are Michael Summer being the singer.
Harmonica and percussion.
Yes, he plays the harmonica. He's a beautiful blues cat. A fantastic artist at that. We have George Hanlon, who plays guitar, and he plays the bass. But he's really the bass player. When we go out live, we have a guitar player. His name is Sammy Blanchett.
Now, you're saying George Hanlon, but I'm reading on the back of this cover here.
Fattie G. Yes, Fattie G. Hanlon.
Okay.
Gorgeous George Hanlon. Okay. He's a beautiful cat. And we have Boom Boom Bob Henderson.
Boom Boom. Go ahead.
Bobby Boom Boom, right. He's the drummer, and he plays... And he's also the drummer of the other people. See, Bob is a beautiful cat because he also can cross those genres of music and write with me. In fact, I would have had him here today had I not been so busy, you know. We're all pretty busy cats in this band, you know.
So you had spoken with us a little before the show started. You actually have a lot of background in music theory, which is... you know, refreshing to find these days. So just garage band. So where was it that you studied again?
So I studied at the David Manis College of Music in New York City. And which is a beautiful place to learn, and I worked hard to earn that diploma. It's just a diploma in jazz piano, avant jazz at that. But I worked hard to earn that diploma because they don't care how much money you got, man. You got to make the grade. And that's what's happening.
Now, you mentioned about how that particular university, that college, was more keen on structure and on theory, the theory of music. And
the theory is very important.
The mechanics of it and the mathematics of it even.
Yes, that's the whole kung fu of the music right there. That's the whole kung fu of it all. You got to know your theory, man. You know, it's the whole science of it, the language, you know. And that's one thing, you know, there's nothing I know how to do. In fact, this keyboard probably does 1,000 things, and it might even do some things for you, but I wouldn't know how to use it. I bought this strictly for the piano and organ sounds, because that's what I play, piano and organ. And that's where your theory applies. You know, most music, I call a lot of musicians today are laptop musicians, I call them. No offense meant to anyone.
So they basically got everything pre-programmed, and they're just caretakers of the instrument.
So in my case, I know how to tell you I can tell you how to use, you know, C minor over E flat major. Because that's
relative minor.
That's what I know. That's what I know. Music, the language. That's what I studied. That's what I learned at Manis. I don't know much about computers, like I said. So in the bands that I play in. You'll see all this, people see these keyboards and, you know, but I just play piano and organ mostly, you know. At best I have a wah pedal, you know, that might be as electronic as I get, I guess. for the most part.
Do you find it's fair to say that there's more of a distinct separation now between performance art versus music theorists? For instance, I mean, you know, back in the day, a musician like, say, Elvis Presley had to be, first of all, an aficionado with the voice. He had to be really expert. And he was also a massive performer. These days, we're seeing people like, no offense, Taylor Swift. She's a great little songwriter for her age and everything. But when she performs live, her music suffers. Her performance and all the effects around her are a lot, you know, showier and more glamorous.
Yes.
Just like Britney Spears shows, you know, $1 million productions, but not so on the music theory. So is that a new phenomenon, or have there always been artists that really didn't get one or the other?
Well, that's just how it is through time, you know. Today, a lot of the music is based around those big performance, you know, production, and that's mostly performance art. So they keep the music simple. I myself like to keep the music as simple as possible. Some of the most beautiful music that you love, whatever, are beautiful, you know, are simple tunes. Mm-hmm. Now, theory is for, you know, for example, you have blues, and all the great early blues artists, Robert Johnson, Howlin' Wolf, you know, you name it, man, Elmore James. All those cats were very basic, you know. Oh, let me get my piano sound back here. I'm sorry. Those guys were all very basic, using all the basic tools, you know. Mm-hmm. See, that'd be like using the 1, the 4, and the 5, you know. That basic blues, and it's nice and it's simple, and like 100 tunes, millions of tunes come just out of that.
Yep.
And then you have the jazz, which is the same thing, but with some more complicated, maybe more sophisticated changes. For example, instead of doing that 5, you know, to the 4. Now jazz, you got some changes, you know, and you're walking. More complicated changes in there, more walking, you know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Duke Ellington is one of the masters of, you know, big band.
When you overlap the two styles, and I know that you do that because I've heard you do it in many songs, how do you get your inspiration to do it? Is it just something intuitive that you just know and flows out of you, or is it something that you're looking at in a more structured, more mathematical way?
Well, what happens is this, man. I'll see how I can put it the best ways. For some of us, music is just that we are. So, however you feel at the time is how you play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You dig? And this is the beauty of learning music, which I would like to stress this message to all young people or anyone who wants to be in the line of music. You should definitely learn how to read, learn your theory, so you can make a living. You may not be famous, you know, because I'm not the famous kind of musician, just the hard-working kind. Mm-hmm. And what happens with music is you learn the language, just like your child. You have to learn the alphabet, how to enunciate each letter, so that you know how to put them together to make a word. And you got to know what that word means, you know, so that you could use it in a sentence. Then you learn how to make sentences. you know, and then you put enough sentences together where you have a paragraph, and you keep progressing, you know. And music, when you're in the music, you live music, and there's millions of us out here all over the world, man. Just some of us are more famous than others, but when you live the music in your heart, you live it, you breathe it, and you speak it all the time, you know, and that's what you're doing, you're speaking. So when you're playing your music, you're expressing, and that's just, the musicians, is just how they express themselves with the music. You know, my weapon of choice happens to be the piano, and I love the avant, you know, which is where I like to live all the time. You know, like the avant, you know.
And when the audience hears this, they're going to be saying to themselves, "The hell are these guys sitting around and what are they sitting around and talking for? Just let the guy play." Well, you're going to have to come watch him play to hear that kind of stuff, because he is really amazing. You alluded to education, about kids and about kids learning to do what's in their heart, to let the music flow out of themselves, and you alluded to the basics. Now, a lot of educators, a lot of great educators, look at education as not grassroots up, not learning the basics to get to that higher plane, but to be exposed to that higher plane of activity, the things that move people, that drive us as human beings to enjoy life and to be pleased by the fine arts, and then realize, oh my God, if I'm going to be able to do that stuff, I'm going to have to go back and learn those basics. And they learn the basics. Now they have a motivation. Now they have a reason to learn.
And the basics is where it's at. You have to learn all the basics. Just like in life, you have to know how to read, you know. Or if you don't know how to read or write, you'll go through life, you'll be, I guess, for lack of a better term, what we're referred to as functioning illiterates.
Or it's like being blind in a way. And it's like being lacking a certain skill set, which is important. Like, your eyes are an important thing to have, your voice is an important thing to have, but you've got to be able to use other more complex things like language skills and writing skills.
You like to know what it is. You like to know what it is. If you learn a new word, you want to know what it means, so you could use it, you know. And, well, it's not a new word for me anymore, but ever since I learned it, I love it. One of my favorite words, which describes myself pretty good, is cacophonous.
Cacophonous.
I'm very cacophonous.
I got you on
cacophony and euphony, you know?
Cacophony, yeah, or cacophony.
Yes,
cacophony. Okay.
I love living on the far route, Daddy, you know?
Yeah.
That's where I like to be.
How important, I mean, we've been reading a lot about how music programs are really being cut from schools in this day and age. How important is music and the arts in general to the youth? I mean, it was obviously a great inspiration on you. I would assume it really kept you going, you know, at times, and in your education, pursuing your education and such. I mean, is this as vital to kids as their ABCs and their history lessons and such?
Well, we like to, yes, it is vital to kids, and we like to try to influence and spark that fire in our youth. But I think it's vital and important for everyone. I mean, music is everywhere and everything, whether you realize it or not, you know. Just some of us humans are music, and some of us just like to listen, but either way, music is everywhere.
Okay, we got about 2 more minutes down. We're going to slide back in, if we can, for another take on Planet 6. But for those last 2 minutes, take us out. Yeah. Take us off to another plane, and then we'll come back. Outstanding. Outstanding.
Thank you. That was equal opportunity, I call it. Little piece I wrote.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up there. This has been Progressive Soup. Americo Carrasco, our master pianist.
Thank you.
Along with Jane Hislop and myself, David Stevenson. Keep on playing. We're going to fade out with you playing. Do something more. Keep us going as we fade out.